explain. This is super important for people who have charge-offs and they want to know how the charge-off is supposed to be reporting, or what, red flags to look for on their credit report when it comes to charge-offs, right? A charge-off is an accounting decision. It is not forgiveness, right? The creditor moved the account on their books. Nothing about that erases the entry on yours, right? So, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about charge-offs is that automatically, if the company decides to charge it off, then it immediately erases from their books and your obligation. It's still your obligation. So I'm not going to get into going into depth with the 1099C with the 1099C or any other 1099 forms regarding it. That's all I'm going to say. If you just whatever method or whatever you decide to learn on the internet or think you're learning on the internet afterwards, on your end that you want to do or follow up on, that's your decision. But just because the account is charged off does not mean that it automatically erases from your obligation. Why do you think that there's creditors still suing consumers over debt, right? They may not have a strong case, but they are still obligated to come after you, and they will. Okay? Where the problems concentrate. These are the 4 fields that are the strongest. Balance, right? What it says you owe and whether it moves in ways it should not. And when I say that, I mean, say for example, it's charged off, but on the payment history it says an on-time payment in the midst of all of those charged off months. How all of a sudden was the account charged off? You made an on-time payment, then it went back to charged off. That balance is obviously wrong. It's either an inaccurate reporting or the balance is wrong, because if the balance didn't move, how is it that I made an on-time payment or made a payment at all, but the balance didn't move, right? But that's neither here nor there, because you can't, after the account is charged off, they can't report any more on-time payments. It's impossible, right? Past due amount, sometimes duplicated against the balance in ways that inflate the picture. All right, so your past due amount is something that you want to check as well, and that's something that you're going to check your books for. Account status, charged off, closed, collection, and current are not interchangeable. All right, if it's charged off, it's charged off. Closed, same difference. Kind of, that one's kind of interchangeable. Collection is not the same as a charged off. It's either with the original creditor and they're still trying to collect on it, or they're not. And yeah, so you want to check the account status. Date of first delinquency, the one date that controls how long it can stay. And that's super important. And that's not the statute of limitations, because a lot of people get the statute of limitations, and I do a video on that. They get the statute of limitations and the date of first delinquency wrong. That your date of first delinquency is important because it tells how long legally they can report on your credit report. And the date of first delinquency also goes into your payment history, because that is the date that you first went delinquent and weren't able to recover, right? So say, for example, if they charged it off in 90 days, your date of first delinquency is going to be still the date in that 30-day period, whatever month, that date that you decided that, it was late and it never recovered. Now, if people have late payments, if you have a late payment, let's just say a 30-day late payment, a 60-day late payment, and then you have an on-time payment, right? And then you go into delinquency and never recover the account. That means you never make another on-time payment. Your date of first delinquency is that month after that on-time payment, okay? The date of first delinquency drives the removal clock, right? Move that date forward and the entry outlives the window it was supposed to have. That is the error worth hunting. And again, the date of first delinquency is very, very important because it tells how long it can stay on your credit report. So that date of first delinquency is very important. And we go over this more in depth inside of the school community as well. And kind of, reading it out and identifying it on an actual credit report, okay? An entry that reports as charged off while also updating like an active, currently late account. Read together. Those two things can create an impression the record does not support, right? So again, as I just stated, if it's charged off, it's charged off. They can't report on-time payment history for an account that's charged off. Same thing with collections. That doesn't make any sense. Read across, not down. How to examine them, right? Compare all three bureaus. So you want to get Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Track the entry month over month, right? Changes over time or where contradictions surface. So again, and this is going to be through your dispute process. So once you dispute, you want to see, because 9 times out of 10, that first dispute, you're not getting a deletion. It's coming back verified. And after that is when things they can update something and it can still be wrong. Like if you say, hey, I'm disputing the balance because my records don't support it, right? Once you dispute the balance on there, they can update it or update the balance and the balance can still be wrong, right? So you just want to make sure that you're tracking all of these credit reports month by month to see if anything changed or fluctuated, okay? Not just that one credit report that you pulled initially to start the dispute process and then the last one that you pulled. You want to make sure, especially when you're going through the dispute process, you're pulling them monthly to see if anything changed, right? Line it up against your own records. If you do have records or you do have proof of certain stuff, accounts that you actually kept up with, payment history, things like that, line it up against your own records and make sure that everything is correct, right? And also another gem for you guys, and this is very important, when you are disputing, so you are legally obligated to say what you are disputing on your credit report. If you're disputing the balance, you need to say I'm disputing the balance. If you're just disputing a late payment, you need to say disputing a late payment. But it is not your obligation to conduct a reasonable investigation. Do not give them the answers. Even if you go in your records and you're able to tell them which date you made the payment on, which date you didn't, what the balance, any of that is still not your job. The burden of proof is on them to make sure that it's complete and verifiable. 2 things, right? I want you to check the description box below because I have a link to join my school community, which is only $9 a month for you to enter. And then for guides and templates, I just put the DIY credit repair kit. And also, if you are being sued by a debt collector or creditor and you do not know what to do, I put the play-by-play book in the description box below. So with that being said, I do answer questions over here. So if you have a question or need clarity on something or want me to make another video, a more in-depth video, or whatever the case may be, put it in the comment section below and I will answer your question, or you might just see that video pop up. So with that being said, I will see you in the next video.